Chapter 1. A new beginning, Starlight High was an ordinary school in many ways, with students bustling through the hallways, teachers droning on about subjects, and the usual drama that unfolded in the lives of teenagers. But for Lily Hart, Starlight High was a place where everything was about to change. Lily was in her final year, a quiet girl who preferred the company of books over people. She was known for her sharp wit and even sharper tongue, though she rarely used it. Her long chestnut hair cascaded down her back, and her emerald eyes were always hidden behind a pair of glasses. She kept to herself, finding solace in the stories she read. Across the hall, a new student arrived. Ethan Rivers was everything Lily was not, charismatic, confident, and with a smile that could melt hearts. He was the talk of the school from the moment he walked in. With his tousled black hair and piercing blue eyes, he seemed like the protagonist of one of Lily's favourite novels. Lily first noticed Ethan in literature class, where he sat in the back, seemingly disinterested. But something about him intrigued her. He wasn't like the other popular boys who thrived on attention. There was a quiet intensity about him that she couldn't ignore. One day, as the class discussed Pride and Prejudice, the teacher called on Ethan to share his thoughts. To everyone's surprise, Ethan spoke with passion and insight that none had expected. Lily found herself drawn to his words, her curiosity piqued. After class, as the students filed out, Ethan caught up to Lily. "You're Lily Hart, right?" he asked, his voice deep and smooth. She looked up, surprised. "Yes, and you're Ethan Rivers." He smiled, a playful glint in his eyes. "I've noticed you're always reading. Got any recommendations?" Lily was taken aback. No one had ever asked her for book recommendations before. "It depends on what you like," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "Surprise me," he said with a wink before walking away, leaving Lily standing there, her heart pounding. Chapter 2. The Blossoming Friendship. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Lily's paths crossed more frequently. They exchanged book recommendations, discussed plots, and argued over characters. Slowly, a friendship blossomed between them, surprising everyone at Starlight High. Lily found herself looking forward to their conversations. Ethan was different from what she had expected. Beneath his charming exterior was a deep thinker who appreciated the same things she did. They often spent hours in the library, lost in discussions that ranged from classic literature to the meaning of life. One afternoon, while they were sitting under a tree in the school courtyard, Ethan asked, "Why do you always hide behind your books, Lily?" She was startled by the question. "I don't hide, I'm not like everyone else." He looked at her thoughtfully. "You're more interesting than most people here, but I think you're afraid to let anyone see that." Lily was silent, unsure of how to respond. No one had ever tried to see past her quiet exterior before. It was both frightening and exhilarating. "I think you're hiding something too," she finally said, meeting his gaze. Ethan smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Maybe, but some things are better left hidden." Chapter 3. The Unspoken Connection. As the months passed, Lily and Ethan's friendship deepened. They became inseparable, much to the curiosity of their classmates. But as close as they were, there was always something unspoken between them, a connection that neither was ready to acknowledge. One evening, as they walked home from school, Ethan stopped abruptly. "Lily, do you ever feel like you're living someone else's life?" She frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" "Like there's something more out there, something waiting for you, but you're stuck here, just going through the motions." Lily nodded slowly. "Sometimes. but I've learned to find happiness in the small things. Ethan looked at her, his blue eyes searching. You're different, Lily. You make me feel like I'm not alone. Lily's heart raced at his words, but before she could respond, Ethan's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, his expression darkening. I have to go, he said abruptly, turning away. Lily watched him leave, a sense of unease settling in her chest. There was something Ethan wasn't telling her, something that kept him at a distance no matter how close they became. Chapter 4. The Hidden Truth. The winter formal was approaching and the school was buzzing with excitement. Ethan asked Lily to be his date, and although she was nervous, she agreed. They spent the night dancing, laughing, and for a few hours, it felt like they were the only two people in the world. But as the night drew to a close, Ethan grew distant. He led Lily to the school's rooftop, where they could see the stars shining brightly above them. Lily, he began, his voice heavy with emotion. There's something I need to tell you. She looked at him, her heart in her throat. What is it, Ethan? He took a deep breath. I'm leaving Starlight High. My family's moving across the country. Lily felt like the ground had been pulled out from under her. When? At the end of the month. Tears welled up in her eyes. But what about us? Ethan cupped her face in his hands, his gaze intense. You've changed my life, Lily. You've made me see things differently. But this is something I can't control. Lily shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. You can't just leave. We can find a way to stay in touch. We can make this work. Ethan's eyes were filled with sorrow. I wish we could. But sometimes life takes us in directions we don't want to go. He leaned in and kissed her softly, a bittersweet farewell. When they pulled apart, Lily knew that this was the end of their story, at least for now. Epilogue. A love that lingers. Ethan left Starlight High at the end of the month, and Lily was heartbroken. But she knew that their connection was something special, something that would stay with her forever. She continued to read, to write, and to live her life, but she carried Ethan's memory with her. She knew that someday their paths might cross again. And when they did, they would pick up right where they left off, their love story unfinished but not forgotten. For now, she would cherish the time they had together, knowing that the whispering shadows of Starlight High would always hold a piece of her heart. Ella had always been a quiet student at Riverwood High. She preferred the comfort of her books and the familiarity of her close friends over the buzz of social events. Her routine was predictable until the day Jason Walker joined her history class. Jason was the exact opposite of Ella. Outgoing and full of energy, he had an easy smile that seemed to light up every room he walked into. Ella couldn't help but notice him, though she tried to remain in her comfortable bubble. One day, during a group project on ancient civilizations, Ella was paired with Jason. At first, the partnership seemed like an odd match. Ella was meticulous and reserved, while Jason was spontaneous and laid back. But as they worked together, something magical happened. Jason's enthusiasm began to draw Ella out of her shell, and Ella's attention to detail helped refine Jason's ideas. They started to balance each other perfectly. Their project on ancient Egypt turned into the highlight of the semester. Ella and Jason found themselves enjoying each other's company more and more, sharing laughs and stories beyond their academic work. Ella discovered that Jason was not just charming, but also kind and genuinely interested in her thoughts and feelings. As the school year progressed, their friendship deepened. They began to spend time together outside of class, coffee dates, study sessions, and weekend walks. Ella found herself looking forward to these moments, cherishing every conversation and shared experience. By the end of the year, it was clear that their bond had grown into something more profound. During the school's annual spring dance, Jason, with a mix of nervousness and excitement, asked Ella to be his date. She, with a heart full of joy, said yes. At the dance, amidst the twinkling lights and joyful music, Jason took Ella's hand and led her to the center of the floor. As they danced, Jason confessed his feelings for her, and Ella, with tears of happiness in her eyes, admitted that she felt the same way. From that night on, their relationship blossomed. They supported each other through the ups and downs of school life and celebrated their successes together. Their love was a source of strength and joy, proving that sometimes the most unexpected people can become the most important ones. Ella and Jason graduated together, ready to face the future as a team. Their story didn't end with high school, but continued to grow with each passing year, filled with shared dreams and endless adventures. And so, their love story became a beautiful chapter in the book of their lives, one they both knew would always be written with happiness and togetherness.